Can you explain the process of designing and maintaining a robust data pipeline?
Yeah, I think absolutely designing and maintaining like robust pipelines is and ensuring that you're having a reliable and efficient flow involves a few key steps, right? In my mind, the first one is being very clear about the objective and the requirement, right? What are the business goals? Um, do we have the information to? There might be a goal, but we don't have the information. Like that prep around understanding goals, understanding the data, and the validity and accuracy, and for deriving that purpose, doing that homework before we even get into the engineering part is a critical first step. And then the standard stuff around once you understand that, doing the transformations and having the transformation things documented and validated, as well as thinking about how the data is going to be consumed is the next second. So the end-to-end requirement flow becomes very important to me as a first step. Then second, obviously, it depends on where you are in your journey, because it is the tools and technologies, like what are we going to use? If it's a net new engineering ecosystem versus an existing ecosystem, you don't do it for everything. If you have a foundation, you're not going to be changing tools and technologies for every new problem that comes in. But I think making sure you have the right tools and technologies in place, or what is missing, becomes the second part of it for me. That again, I know touches the extraction part, the processing part, storage part, and orchestration part also. How do all these data pipelines work together? Things like Dexter or Airflow and these kind of technologies, making sure you have that orchestration capability in the ecosystem is important. The next aspects is making sure your architecture supports what you're trying to do. Does the architecture need to change? If you have one, does it need to change? If you don't have one, establish it. Think about quality and monitoring aspects, that those are important. So this includes basic things like validating the data and making sure it's correct, or having feedback loops to the source systems where it's coming from, to make sure we are working with them to improve the quality. Because in some cases, if you're not the source of this information, I think you can't really change it. So you have to work with the providers to make sure the information gets corrected at source. So having those monitoring error handling that I've talked about, I think that's a whole aspect that you need to think about. The other aspects are, as part of delivering this, thinking of testing. That's another thing that I've thought about. Traditionally in software development, we talk a lot about testing, but data testing has its own flavor. So how do we think about testing? And this includes data quality testing, unit testing, integration testing, as well as user getting users involved. Like a very traditional testing mentality needs to come into this ecosystem now. I think because it's become so critical, it's not one of those things on the side where you put a report out, you get the feedback, and I'll correct it over a period of time. I think again that's a little bit old school for me in terms of engineering. So bringing and then lastly, another aspect which also comes into the operational aspects, but building some engineering into continuously looking at the consumption pattern and understanding how people are using the data that you build, so that you can proactively optimize the work that you're doing, not wait for users to tell you that there's a problem. So what are some of the instrumentation you can do where you get some of the early signals from how data is getting consumed, and it means making adjustments, whether it's at a platform level or a design level or a data model level. Being proactive about it is also another key aspect in my mind.
Well, and then obviously